President Trump has issued a bold ultimatum to Vladimir Putin: reach a ceasefire deal with Ukraine in just 10 to 12 days, or face severe economic penalties. Ukraine welcomed the pressure. Russia responded coolly. But the real question is, what happens if the clock runs out? Let's walk through exactly what's going on.
Ukraine is now assessing the damage after yet another very brutal Russian attack. Overnight, Russia struck several civilian areas, including a prison in Ukraine. Ukrainian officials say at least 17 of the inmates were killed and called the attack, and I'm quoting now, another war crime by the Russians.
That attack came just after Trump's deadline was announced. Russia bombed Zaporizhzhia overnight, killing civilians, damaging a maternity hospital, and prompting President Zelensky to say this violence could have been avoided if Russia had pursued peace earlier.
Russia is responding to President Trump's new deadline of 10 or 12 days to reach a ceasefire agreement with Ukraine. While Ukraine welcomes the new timeline, Moscow's demanding Ukraine make concessions.
But Russia's reaction wasn't full of fire. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said they had taken note of Trump's comments. That's it. No threats, no concessions. Just a reminder that their so-called special military operation continues. The takeaway? Moscow isn't blinking.
The Russian Security Council Deputy Chairman Dmitry Medvedev has said, Jill, that the ultimatum by Trump could be a step closer towards war. How do you...
Meanwhile, Trump's deadline was paired with a threat: new economic sanctions and tariffs, not just on Russia, but on countries doing business with Russia, like India and China. The goal? Starve Russia's war machine without firing a shot.
And if Putin doesn't respond, and I suspect he will not, then we're going to see the tariffs and the sanctions. And that'll be a departure from the diplomatic effort and is underlining the fact that he's now willing to confront Putin. And I think Putin has miscalculated a little bit here. I think he really believed that he was going to frustrate the president quite a bit by delaying everything. And after all, we're only looking for the 30-day ceasefire, and he's willing to accept unconditional. And he did frustrate the president quite a bit. But the president didn't walk away from supporting Ukraine, which is what Putin was hoping would take place. I didn't think he knew for a fact what would take place, but he was hoping for that outcome. It didn't happen. So we have a major shift here to support Ukraine and their objectives. I think that's very positive on the part of the president. The patience he's shown here in putting up with Putin's bluster, and he's a skilled liar. He's a trained KGB agent who uses lies to change behavior. And I think he's had significant influence over every president he's had to work with in his 25 years. Because he's so skilled at it.
Yeah. Retired General Jack Keane believes Trump is serious, and that this deadline signals a shift from diplomatic pressure to economic force. But there's a catch. Sanctions don't work overnight, and they could backfire, raising global oil prices and straining ties with allies.
Ultimately, President Trump shortening that deadline. I should point out, after meetings with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, the UK among multiple European powers who perhaps first heard that 50-day deadline and indeed felt that it was particularly lengthy and potentially gave the Kremlin the entirety of this summer to continue their current offensive. The shortening of it to 10 to 12 days, well, it massively increases the urgency, potentially, on Moscow to find some kind of peace deal to accede to Trump's demands, if indeed they have any interest in that. The downside, of course, is the secondary sanctions and tariffs that their allies, their energy customers might face. That's China and India. To impose tariffs on China and India, the United States would have to endure upsetting a key ally in India, roiling global energy markets, potentially pushing up American energy consumer prices, and then massively complicating its already very messy relationship with China, who are a key Russian ally. So it's a big ask, frankly, for Trump to make good on his threats 10 to 12 days from now.
Trump's original deadline was 50 days. That gave Russia the entire summer to make gains. Cutting it to just 10 sends a new message: speed up or suffer. But on the ground, Russian forces are already advancing, outnumbering Ukrainian troops. hitting major cities nightly and pushing hard across the Eastern Front.
Ukraine just cannot fight toe-to-toe with the Russian forces, man for man.
So what happens if Russia ignores the deadline? General Keane says Trump will follow through with sanctions, but some analysts say this could be just another bluff. Others think the pressure might bring Putin to the table. One thing is clear. This is a game of high-stakes diplomacy with real lives on the line. What do you think? Is Trump bluffing or cornering Putin? Will new sanctions matter, or will Russia keep pushing? Drop your thoughts below and subscribe for clear political updates without spin.